We good? Okay. Good morning. I'm Parliamentary Assistant Laura Smith, MPP for Thornhill, and it is a great day to kick off Budget Week right here in the riding of King Vaughan. And I'm proud to be joined with my colleagues, Rob Flack, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Peter Bethlenfalvy, Minister of Finance, Kinga Surma, the Minister of Infrastructure, Prabmeet Sarkaria, the Minister of Transportation, and Minister Stephen Lecce, the MPP and Minister of Energy and Mines. We also have Carolyn Parrish, the Mayor of the City of Mississauga, Stephen Del Duca, the Mayor of the City of Vaughan, Robin Jones, President of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and Scott Anderson, CEO of Ontario Home and Builders Association. It is always a privilege to stand with community leaders, colleagues, and partners that share a common goal, building a stronger, more resilient Ontario. And we are facing some tough times, with our country's biggest ally and trading partner taking direct aim at our economy and purposefully trying to put our people out of work. We are choosing Ontario, and we are choosing Canada. And people across Ontario are counting on us to deliver real solutions that reflect the pace and scale of the challenges we face today. They expect action that makes life more affordable, that keeps our economy moving forward, that creates lasting opportunity for the next generation. This moment calls for clarity and purpose, a commitment to innovation, and the courage to think differently about how we grow. It's more than just reaching to the pressures of today. It's about preparing Ontario for tomorrow. And with that said, I'm pleased to introduce my friend and colleague, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Mr. Rob Flack, to show how we're going to do just that.
Well, thank you, Laura. Always great to be here in Vaughan, and thank you for that warm welcome. And to your local MPP, where is Mr. Lecce? Hiding in the back. Obviously does a great job here. Laura has been a great friend. We were seatmates when we first got elected, and we're kind of have each other's back all the time. And I'm so pleased that she is working with our ministry as the parliamentary assistant, and she's got some great work ahead. Mayor Del Duca, thank you for hosting us in Vaughan. Where is the right here? We were here, was it about a year ago? Yeah. What a beautiful facility and a beautiful city. As I've gotten to know you, I think I know I've experienced your passion to serve this community with innovative ideas, and we're going to talk about some of those today, and strong leadership, so thank you, Mayor. As well, Mayor Carolyn Parrish from Mississauga is here. Welcome, and thank you for attending. The Mayor is a decades-long friend of my father and the Flack family, and being a Streetsville boy, I can say that I talked to Jim Flack this morning, as I do every morning, and my parents are very proud of the job she's doing, and obviously as Mayor, and many war stories that you share together, but you are, he says hello at about 6:30 this morning. It's also great to see Scott Anderson here from the Home Builders Association. Thank you, Scott, and obviously the infamous Robin Jones. I think we meet Robin more than most, but the President of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, AMO, as everyone knows, is also here. So thank you, Robin, and the entire AMO team. And I want to say, you have been very sincere, meaningful, and supportive in your communication since I became minister, and it is very, very much appreciated. So thank you. Let me begin by stating, the dream of home ownership has to be a beacon of hope for all people and all families in this province. As such, this afternoon I will be introducing legislation that will help us tackle the serious challenge in our province, the need for more homes. To be frank, it takes too long and it costs too much to build houses in Ontario. With the escalating population growth we've experienced over the past few years, we have not been able, I think we all know this, have not been able to keep up with the demand for housing in our province. Since I was in high school, Carolyn, you were probably in high school then too, many decades ago, the population of this province has doubled. We are now a province of 16 million people. Demand for housing far exceeds supply, with families and first-time homebuyers across Ontario losing hope to achieve their dream of home ownership. I believe we can all agree that this is not acceptable and this has to change. That is why today we are introducing innovative and bold solutions to build more homes and infrastructure faster and smarter. The suite of proposals we are tabling have been developed in close consultation, and I want to emphasize, close consultation with all home building stakeholders, including municipalities, AMO, Ontario Home Builders Association, Build, and our own housing supply implementation team. Close consultation. They have all been part of the imaginative solutions that are part of our legislation, again being tabled this afternoon. This bill is also a critical step in protecting Ontario jobs and communities by delivering on our government's commitment to get vital projects moving faster without delay. Attracting new investment, creating and protecting employment opportunities, as well as boosting our province's economic competitiveness is paramount to our collective success. We all know the headwinds we're facing due to the threat of the Trump tariffs, and Minister Bethlenfalvy will be dealing with those a little later on this week. Under the leadership of our Premier, Premier Ford, our Protect Ontario by Building Faster and Smarter Act would create proactive initiatives to keep workers working on the job and get shovels in the ground faster. Speed is paramount. While the bill we are introducing today is comprehensive, very comprehensive, I think 25 different pieces to it, let me highlight one issue, an important issue that will enable us to lower costs in the time it takes to get more homes built, and that's the famous words, development charges. Although DCs are needed for critical municipal infrastructure, we have heard time and time again how development charges are increasing the cost of new homes, costs which can end up contributing to pricing prospective homebuyers out of the market. So let me tell you about affordability. Back before the DC Act was in place, I bought my first house in 1983. I bought it in Guelph, Ontario for $54,000, and I had $16,000 down as a down payment, and I was making about $30,000 a year, and those in business might also understand I was pretty cool because I had a company car. It was a basic starter home, 1,000 square feet. Interest rates, remember these? 19% when I put the offer in on the house. And incredibly, I was able to make the math work. Today, that home, I was talking to Mayor Guthrie on Friday when I was there with the Premier, would cost about $1 million. And with interest rates of, 5–6%, the math absolutely does not work. And that is why we are rolling up our sleeves to make the math work. Affordability, or a lack thereof, is not just because of DCs as well. Building costs are too high, but DCs need to change. Our municipal partners understand this challenge all too well, and that is why we are acting on recommendations made by AMO and by local leaders like our mayors beside me, Mayor Parrish and Mayor Del Duca. Through our proposed legislation, we plan to cut red tape, speed up approvals, and reduce charges. And most importantly, make it more affordable to build and buy a home in Ontario. I want to acknowledge that some municipal leaders have already recognized that some development charges are impacting much-needed housing development and have taken action to lower and change their development charge models. Following the examples of leaders like my friend beside me, Mayor Del Duca here in Vaughan, and Mayor Parrish in Mississauga, both who I've met with personally about their actions, we will work with all municipalities to manage the burden of development fees on new homes while ensuring municipalities have the support to build critical infrastructure. Because without that infrastructure, we all know, no homes can be built. Part of the DC changes we are proposing include, number one, deferring DCs municipalities can charge until occupancy, not at the beginning, but wait until occupancy till they can charge the DCs of a new home build. They've lowered them as well. We're not asking anyone to do that, but they've taken the lead on that front. Number two, eliminating DCs on the construction of long-term care homes. We need 56,000 to 60,000 refurbished or new beds in this province, and we're going to help reduce the burden of those costs by eliminating those DCs on LTC homes. And number three, we need to absolutely look at new ways of funding needed infrastructure without unduly burdening new home buyers and municipalities. We have to find new solutions. We're going to explore those through this legislation. We are also continuing to make further investments in housing-enabling infrastructure, including through our Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund, the Municipal Housing Infrastructure Program, and the Building Faster Fund. Ministers Bethlenfalvy and Surma will speak to this momentarily. Our municipalities will continue to be an integral part of creating the conditions for all types of housing to be built and built faster. From purpose-built rentals to supportive and affordable housing to transit-oriented communities and to single-family homes, collectively, we need a bias for action and a sense of urgency to ensure our home builders do what they do absolutely best, and that's build homes. In the face of economic uncertainty, we are protecting Ontario. Through our legislation, protecting Ontario by building faster and smarter, we are cutting red tape, encouraging new investment, protecting jobs, and strengthening Ontario's economic competitiveness. I like to think of the word team, T-E-A-M, together everyone achieves more, and that's exactly what we're going to do. And I want to emphasize that all levels of government, municipal, provincial, and federal, and all the housing stakeholders, many here today, have our work cut out for us, but we will work as a team to get the job done. Together, we have to keep the dream of home ownership alive for generations to come. With that, I'll now turn the podium over to Minister Bethlenfalvy, our Minister of Finance.
Well, thank you, Rob. We got quite a podium behind us here. We could field the Toronto Maple Leafs team back here. So good morning and welcome, everybody. Great to be in Vaughan again, and what a beautiful day. As most of you know, between the federal government and provincial government, weather is a provincial responsibility, so we'll take credit for the weather today. I want to acknowledge the mayors. They have been acknowledged, Parrish and Del Duca, thank you, and Jason from Leona, Scott, and I've got Robin right here, and Steve, and Rob, and Laura, and Kinga, and Prab. Okay, I did it. And I'm really pleased to be here as we mark an important step forward in our government's plan to make it easier and faster to build vital projects, such as transit, roads, hospitals, schools, and, yes, housing-enabling infrastructure like water and wastewater systems. In the face of ongoing economic threats, it is more important than ever that we make the investments needed to unlock more homes, to create more jobs, and meet the needs of our growing communities, not only for today, but for future generations. Population growth of some 1.3 million people over just the last 3 years. Think about that. 1.3 added to our population. We're now at 16.1 million people, has added to the need to get more infrastructure built and faster. And we are doing just that. We must boldly build more in Ontario, make our economy more prosperous, and invest in our communities. This is why I'm proud to announce today, along with the proposed legislation, that as part of our 2025 budget, we are announcing an additional $400 million in the Municipal Housing Infrastructure Program and the Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund. This is in addition to the nearly $2 billion we have already invested in housing enabling infrastructure. This government is doubling down on getting shovels in the ground. We're building our future ourselves right here in Ontario. Now, our province has faced challenges before, and we have always emerged stronger and more united. The same is true today. But to be clear, our work is far from over. We will continue to work with municipalities to help unlock the potential of Ontario. In just a few days, our government will release our 2025 Ontario budget, which will go into further detail on our plan to protect Ontario and make it the most competitive economy in the G7. Et dans quelques jours, notre gouvernement déposera le budget de 2025 de l'Ontario, qui fournira de plus amples renseignements sur notre plan pour protéger l'Ontario et en faire l'endroit le plus concurrentiel où investir au sein du G7. Our plan is ambitious, bold, and targeted to protect the people of Ontario, and aims to turn our vision of a better Ontario into a reality that is here right now. And with that, I'd like to pass it over to our great Minister of Infrastructure and a good friend and colleague, Kinga Surma, to say a few words. Thank you very much, everyone.
Good morning, and thank you, Minister Bethlenfalvy. As you have heard the good Minister of Finance say, in a time of economic uncertainty exacerbated by the U.S. tariffs, our government's #1 priority is to protect Ontario. That means doubling down on our efforts to get critical infrastructure and housing built faster and making our economy stronger and more resilient against any external threat. At the same time, we know that Ontario's municipalities need the right tools and resources to build the core infrastructure to support their growth. That's why we're continuing to work with our municipal partners to make the dream of home ownership a reality for more people across Ontario. When municipalities told us that the cost of building the infrastructure needed to support new homes was beyond their reach, our government took action, investing nearly $2 billion to support housing and community-enabling infrastructure like roads, bridges, wastewater, and stormwater infrastructure. As a result, more than 600,000 housing units can now be built across Ontario. But that's not all. Today, we're here to announce that we will be putting an additional $400 million for a total of $2.4 billion across the Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund and the Municipal Housing Infrastructure Program. We've seen great success since launching both of these programs. For example, right here in Vaughan, we're investing $20 million to enable approximately 14,200 housing units by reconstructing parts of Portage Parkway in the city's downtown core. This will help widen the parkway by up to 4 lanes, and it will also include the installation of new streetlights and traffic signals. The city will also build new sidewalk curbs and cycle tracks in this bustling urban center. In addition to building more housing-enabling infrastructure, we're also leading the largest public transit expansion in North America. One of the ways we're doing this is through our Transit-Oriented Communities program, also known as COCs, which has the potential to create up to 285,000 homes along GO and LRT stations across the Greater Golden Horseshoe, as well as up to 56,000 homes and 75,000 new jobs along the subway system. The Protect Ontario by Building Faster and Smarter Act, if passed, streamline the planning and delivery of these transit-oriented communities and make it easier for the province to enter into agreements with our municipal partners and building partners. It would also ensure that municipalities and the municipal agencies provide information and data to help plan and support provincially funded infrastructure projects and keep them on schedule. Now more than ever, we need to do whatever it takes to build more housing and infrastructure faster for a stronger, more prosperous Ontario. And now I'd like to welcome Minister Sarkaria to the podium.
Thank you very much, and good morning, and thank you to Minister Surma for that kind introduction. I'm happy to be here with exciting news about our government alongside many distinguished guests and speak to our plan to expand access to public transit across Ontario. Under the leadership of Premier Ford, we are making historic investments in public transit to tackle gridlock, connect communities, and create thousands of well-paying jobs as we fight back against President Trump's unjustified tariffs taking aim at hardworking families across the province. The need to invest in critical infrastructure has never been more clear. And that's why I'm thrilled our government will be tabling legislation that would amend the Building Transit Fast Act to streamline approvals and accelerate construction of all provincial transit projects. This will be an absolute game changer across the province, so that we can get shovels in the ground as fast as possible on the projects that matter most to the families and workers across Ontario. These changes will allow us to work faster as we deliver the largest transit expansion in North American history, while creating thousands of jobs in the face of U.S. tariffs. Our government will also explore options for standardizing road building specifications across the province, so municipalities can build quicker and more efficiently. We'll continue to work with the industry experts to develop opportunities to accelerate the permitting processes to apply for construction permits near provincial highways. This is bold, decisive action we need to build vital infrastructure quickly while protecting Ontario's workers as we ensure a strong, stable future for our province. It's no secret that public transit is not only critical to our quality of life, but also to Ontario's economy. That's why we're investing nearly $70 billion over the next decade into public transit. We're building the Ontario Line, the Scarborough Subway Extension, the Eglinton Crosstown West Extension, the Yonge North Subway Extension, the Hazelmere-McCallion Line, and the Hamilton LRT to tackle gridlock, give Ontarians more time back in their day to spend with their families. We're restoring passenger rail service to Northern Ontario by bringing back the Northlander. And we're delivering on our promise to bring two-way, all-day service to GO Transit's busiest rail routes. And if passed, we'll prioritize every single provincial transit project so we can keep Ontario moving and fuel our economy for years to come, because that is what Ontarians deserve. With that said, I'll now turn it over to His Worship, Mayor Del Duca. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Vaughan's City Hall. For those who are visiting for the first time, it is a beautiful building, and for those who are returning, thank you very much. It is such an honor for me to be here today standing alongside Minister Flack and all of the other provincial cabinet ministers, and of course, an outstanding local MPP, Laura Smith. We are very blessed here in the City of Vaughan to have a close working relationship with all three of our members of Parliament, Minister Lecce, MPP Smith, and Minister Tobolo, and of course, a very good working relationship with Premier Ford, who I want to publicly thank for supporting this community, for supporting this province, and for supporting so strongly this country over these last number of months in particular during a very difficult time. I want to thank, of course, Mayor Parrish, my good friend, who I've known for a number of years, for being here today and for showing incredible leadership at the City of Mississauga. And it is great to see another colleague, Mayor Liz Roy from Whitby, here today to help represent Ontario's big city mayors. I'm joined by several colleagues from our Vaughan City Council. I'm just going to quickly introduce them. Councillors Ferry, Rosati, Racco, DeFrancesca, Ainsworth, and Marto. And of course, our city manager, Zoran Postic, and the rest of the outstanding team here at the City of Vaughan, who've worked very hard alongside Council to make many innovative changes, including, of course, the dramatic reduction to residential development charges that we successfully tackled a number of months ago. We are also fortunate to have an extraordinary array of industry partners who, as Minister Flack mentioned a moment ago, have worked very hard through the extensive consultation process to help give life to the legislation that will be tabled later today. I want to say for me personally that it is important for me to thank a couple just in particular who I know have certainly been talking with me, have worked closely with me, and I'm sure with many others in this room. Of course, starting with Jason Oddie from Leuna Local 183, I want to thank Richard Lyle and Michael Giles from ResCon and of the entire team at the Ontario Road Builders Association, who I know have worked very hard. And that's not to take away from the others who've been involved or had hands on this consultation process, but Jason, Richard, and the Orba team certainly have done a fantastic job, and I'm very grateful for that. I talk a lot about housing. We all do. There's someone who is not going to be happy that I'm referencing her in just a quick moment when I do, and that's my older daughter, Talia, who is here with us today. Talia is in grade 12. Don't worry, she has first period spare, so it's okay that she's here right now. She'll be leaving City Hall to go directly to class for second period. She's here alongside my wife, Utilia. Utilia and I are raising our daughters, Talia and Grace. Grace is in grade 8. When I think about the housing file, I think most of all about the two of them, and literally the tens of thousands of other young women and men across Ontario who, like me, like so many of my generation, were raised to believe that obtaining and attaining affordable, accessible home ownership somewhere close to where they grew up, if that's what they choose to do, should be achievable. And as Minister Flack mentioned a moment ago, for far too long now, that dream has been slipping out of reach for Talia and Grace and their generation. That is not acceptable in a province as large as ours, with as much land as we have available, with as much innovation and ingenuity that we have at our disposal. Every single level of government, from the province to the federal government to all 444 municipalities here in this province, don't just have a responsibility, we have a critical obligation to stop talking about this and to deliver, as Minister Flack said, with a bias for action and a sense of urgency, to deliver on housing, every single type of housing, and to be able to give Talia and Grace and others like them the choice the choice that I had. It is the Canadian dream. It is the Ontario dream. And we have a responsibility to work together to make it real. I want to urge every municipal leader, each and every one that I have so much respect for. The job at the municipal level, as I've learned these last 2.5 years, is not easy. It's not easy. But I want to urge every municipal leader, work with the province, work with our industry partners. Let's work with each other to actually deliver on this housing and make it accessible and affordable closer to home. I want to urge all of the industry partners here today, keep doing what you do and do so well. We know we have literally the very best private sector of any place in the world, especially when it comes to construction, land development, and home building. Let's harness that power and make it happen with our partners in organized labor. I want to urge the opposition parties at Queen's Park. I know better than many what the job of an opposition party is. I want to urge them to do their job, to do it thoughtfully, but to work with Minister Flack, Premier Ford, and the rest of the cabinet ministers and government caucus to pass this legislation and get other legislation like it passed urgently so that the dream of home ownership can become real. I want to urge everybody who works in the public service at the federal, provincial, and municipal level. There has never been a more important time to think outside the box, to make yourself less comfortable, less conventional, to be innovative, and to push the boundaries as much as you can. We are blessed to have a public service that rests on the notion of being safe and methodical to protect us. It is important, but now is a time for action and a time for urgency. Today's legislation that Minister Flack will be tabling and everything else that we've heard from this cabinet today, these cabinet ministers today, and from Premier Ford, will help set us up for success. For today, as collectively we stand together united in solidarity against what's happening south of the border to protect our local economy, our provincial economy, and our national economy, but it will also set us up for success so that Talia and Grace, many years from now, are not stuck looking at me, asking me a simple question. When you had the chance to make a difference, when you had the chance to pass the dream that you and Mummy were able to embrace to us, why didn't you do it? I don't want to have that conversation with my daughters or their kids. I want us to act now. I want us to pass this legislation. I want us to get homes built, every single type of home. And I want us to celebrate together on the other side of that collective achievement, as I know we can here in Ontario. Thank you very much for being here, and I'll pass things on to Mayor Parrish.
Well, you have to be patient with me. I'm the rookie up here. I have to read my notes, I'm sorry. Mississauga is delighted to support the Building Fast and Smarter Act 2025. Simplifying and streamlining building processes across the province will accelerate housing starts and reduce housing prices. Province-wide construction standards is a clear response to the requests from the industry. Our Mayor's Task Force in Mississauga began with a 2-hour meeting to discuss the planning department process and how they needed to be fixed right in our own city. They pointed out to us time is money, and the changes we've implemented have made quite a difference already. Any of you in the building industry know when you submit a plan, it comes back with 12 problems. And you submit it again, it comes back with 64 problems. And this goes on for 8 or 9 or 10 months. We instigated a process in Mississauga called 3 strikes and you're in. On the 3rd submission, if there are still problems, the developers come in with their planners. Our planners sit on the other side of the table. They both have red pens and nobody leaves the room until it's fixed. This new act talks about province-wide consistent building standards for all of Ontario, and it's a big request from our GTA developers. It's a huge step forward. Funding infrastructure pipes for water, wastewater, stormwater systems and roads will be most welcome. Addressing DCs will make an enormous difference. We really bit the bullet in Mississauga. We've lowered our DCs by 50% for projects getting in the ground by November 13th, 2026. We also lowered DCs to 0 on 3-bedroom units so that we can build family-size units. We delayed payment up to occupancy, saving millions in interest charges. We created a new multi-unit rental tax category to reduce property taxes by 35% for 35 years on rental buildings. We transformed 14 different residential zones to 2. We now have 2 size lots, large lots and small lots. We used to have 14 different lot sizes. This allows a real mix of housing in every neighborhood. We increased the housing count on our new official plan by 127,000 units for a total of 320,000 units. As a result, we've already received over $44 million from the Federal Housing Accelerator Fund. We're hoping to get some money from here. I always have to put in a plug. I'm hoping the Building Faster and Smarter Act will reward compliant municipalities with some grant subsidies as well. We are already seeing a difference in Mississauga. In 2024, we had 2,600 unit applications in. This year to date, we have 11,700 units being processed. I'm hoping the new act will encourage a mix of communities, flexibility on parking standards, and parkland variances. I'm also hoping there will be increased funding to subsidize deeply affordable family units. Mississauga is ready and willing to support the Building Faster and Smarter Act, and we congratulate the province and the ministers and the provincial government for this most welcome piece of legislation. I also want to stand here as a former Liberal MP and tell you I support the Premier and his crew 100%. They've done a fantastic job fighting off Trump, and I'm very, very proud of them. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody. Bon matin, Annie, and thank you for the invitation to be here today with such a strong representation from Cabinet, my municipal colleagues, and leaders of the industry. My name is Robin Jones, and I'm the Mayor of Westport, and have the privilege of representing Ontario's municipalities as the President of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. So thank you, Minister Flack, for your remarks and for introducing the Protect Ontario by Building Faster and Smarter Act today. Like the provincial government, municipalities recognize the urgent need to expedite housing starts and economic development to address the challenges facing all of our communities. Simply put, all partners in Ontario's housing system, including municipalities, home builders, provincial and federal governments, must do their part to find new ways to increase housing and economic growth. That is why in March, AMO, joined by the Ontario Home Builders Association, made joint recommendations to the provincial government. Recommendations that will make it faster and easier for home builders to build houses while ensuring municipalities have the funding required to put the necessary infrastructure in place. The proposed bill reflects AMO's and OHBA's shared understanding that development charges are a critical tool for getting houses built. And it confirms that modernization is needed to make the system work for all partners in a more streamlined, predictable, and transparent way. Minister Flack's new bill highlights what we can achieve when the province, municipalities, and the development sector all work together towards a shared goal. It provides a clear sense of direction and provides time to work through the details to make sure that we get it right. AMO and Ontario's municipalities also thank Minister Surma for the additional $400 million investment in the water, wastewater, and stormwater infrastructure. This funding will enable municipalities to accelerate their plans to expand their housing supply. It will also generate economic activity and jobs in the face of the economic uncertainty brought on by the trade disruptions. The government has responded to AMO's advocacy for additional, stable, and predictable funding for municipal infrastructure as a foundation to the prosperity and quality of life of the province. We look forward to working in partnership to build Ontario's future together. Thank you. Merci. Miigwech.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Scott Anderson, and I'm the CEO of the Ontario Home Builders Association. And this is a big day for future home buyers. I'd like to start by thanking Minister Flack for inviting us to participate in this exciting announcement this morning. For years, our industry has been sounding the alarm. Ontario is in a housing crisis, a crisis in which affordability has deteriorated rapidly, and families are moving farther away from the dream of home ownership. It's a challenge that requires more than incremental change. It demands a crisis-led, province-wide approach grounded in urgency and leadership. The home construction industry is a complex system, and the changes required to get shovels in the ground must reflect the interconnectivity of all decisions that are made within this system. And that's exactly what today's announcement can deliver. The changes proposed today reflect recommendations OHBA and our members have long championed, based on evidence and on-the-ground experience. The cost to build and renovate homes has been far too high for far too long. As demonstrated in recent research commissioned by OHBA and Build, development charges and municipal approval delays are significant as a driving factor in the cost of housing. In the absence of a common application process, builders must retool their application process in response to potentially 444 different application requirements and navigate significantly different pathways to get to a single goal, an approval to build or renovate a home needed by Ontario families. And by simplifying and standardizing development charges, streamlining land use planning approvals, and creating consistency across municipal processes, the government is addressing long-standing barriers that have slowed home construction and driven up costs for far too long. I want to acknowledge that this is not a simple fix, but it is a meaningful one. And that's why OHBA has been working alongside AMO to explore balanced solutions that meet the needs of both of our industries. And we were successful in our efforts. Substantive collaboration between builders and developers, municipal governments, and the province has put us on the right common path forward, a path that reflects the consistency builders need and the commitment to building strong communities that meet the needs of homeowners in every municipality. So I want to commend the Premier and the Government of Ontario, and Minister Flack in particular, for taking this bold, crisis-led action and moving forward with reforms that will reflect real collaboration with municipalities, industry, and stakeholders alike. And we are proud to be a partner in this effort. So let's move forward with urgency, implement decisively, and work together, industry and government, to build the homes Ontario families are counting on. And now I would like to invite Minister Flack back to the stage. Thank you.
We will now go to reporters' questions. Reporters, please line up at the mic behind me. Please identify yourselves by name and outlet. It'll be one question, one follow-up. First question.
Hi, Minister. Sean Jefford, CBC Toronto.
Sean.
Minister Flack, I was looking at the documents. I did not see a reference to the 1.5 million homes goal set in 2022 by the government. I could be wrong. Maybe it is there. Is that still the goal, and is it realistic?
Well, as you know, we've got some pretty strong headwinds. It's a goal, but frankly, I'm focused more on, and our team is focused on the next 12 to 24 months, because if it stays the way it is now, we'll never get there. We have to make immediate changes, and our focus is the next 12 to 24 months to get shovels in the ground. But is it forgotten? No way. We're not giving up.
So is this package, is this suite of tools going to be enough to get you there, or are you going to have to do more, frankly, to work with the federal government on its plan, which apparently will see the government at the federal level get more involved in actual construction of homes?
Well, we'll wait and see. You know, tomorrow I understand, at least saw in the news, that Prime Minister Carney is going to announce a new cabinet and there will be a new housing minister. So whoever he or she is, I look forward to working closely with them. And would obviously say this is not a partisan issue we're dealing with in terms of the dream of home ownership. This is about an all-hands-on-deck approach, municipal, provincial, and federal. So let's come up with bold and innovative solutions together. And if the Minister of Housing in the future has some cool ideas, we'll listen and learn, and we'll try and complement them with our actions as well.
Hi, Minister. Barbara with QP Briefing. How are you?
Hi, Barbara. Good, thank you.
Just sort of following up on Sean's question here. So we know that the province is falling behind its housing targets right now. How confident are you that what you are announcing today will actually put the government back on track to reach this goal of 1.5 million houses until 2031?
Well, I'm a guy who grew up in business, so I have an adage. Benjamin Franklin, I think, had it, and it's called "well done is better than well said." So I simply look to my left and I look to my right and I see positive results. So you don't have to be the creator of all great ideas, you just have to emulate them, and that's part of what we've done today, and I think it's going to succeed.
And when the government this is not the first time that the government tries to change development charges. In the past, when they tried to pass bills regarding this, it didn't really work. They had to walk back on this bill. So what changed now? And are municipalities fully on board with this time?
Well, I think you've heard loud and clear this morning that all stakeholders, municipalities, AMO, Ontario Home Builders, Build, collectively are supporting this legislation. So yes, I'm confident it's going to have a positive impact. I would say, as we look to this, we're always open to change, right? The road to success is always under construction, no pun intended, and I think these are a good starting points. We're going to see, especially with the DC changes, allowing more investment to start off early on. But again, we're open to ideas, as always, to change path or course, make sure we can stay on the road to keeping the dream of home ownership alive.
Hi, it's Jessica from the Trillium. So the government's been praising these two mayors here who have cut their development charges, but you're not insisting that other municipalities actually do that with a hard cut. So why not? Why not cap them?
Well, I'm hoping that they take the lead and follow by example, but first and foremost, we're going to delay till occupancy. We are getting rid of them with long-term care homes, and we're going to continue to support our municipal partners with needed infrastructure to get water, wastewater, roads in construction, because again, without that infrastructure, you can't build homes. So I'm hoping they'll take their lead, and we're creating the conditions, the environment for them to get it done.
This will be the last question.
Thanks. And it's to you again, Minister Flack, on MZOs. So we understand that this will allow you to impose conditions that must be met before the MZO actually comes into effect. So there's sort of two parts to this. Could this be applied to previously granted MZOs? And if so, are there any projects that you would like to apply conditions to? What conditions and why?
So I think the three letters I learned most when I first became minister were M, Z, and O. They're talked about a lot, and we've talked about that as well. The great part about this piece of the legislation is that when an MZO comes in, it has to be dealt with in an important process fashion, but there are always conditions. MZOs just don't sit on our desk or our ministry's desk to get approved. Sometimes there's meaningful conditions that need to be granted or succeeded by the proponent, the applicant. So what we're doing is our part of the MZO will be approved if they meet the conditions, and then it's up to the proponent to finish it off so the accountability goes back to where it should be and it's not sitting in regulatory or bureaucratic hands.
This concludes the media conference.
Thank you all.